Hi, it's Tom with Digital Foundry, giving a roundup of differences between Just Cause 3 on console and PC at its maximum settings. Now, given PS4 and Xbox One are practically matched in visuals outside of the resolution difference of 1080p versus 900p, we had hoped PC might offer some enticing extras. So here we run PS4 and PC at a matching 1080p, and we're playing each at the same time using the same controller inputs to keep gameplay in sync. What's apparent though is that consoles run at broadly a match for PC's settings, though there are some exceptions. Anti-aliasing is a sticking point, for example, and we see consoles using a technique similar to PC's FXAA setting, clearing up most jagged edges but still struggling with pixel crawl. It's possible to improve image quality on PC even further though with the SMAA anti-aliasing mode. On balance, we decided to run with the SMAA T2X here, which provides better coverage across fine details than on PS4. The only downside to this mode is it includes a temporal component to tackle visual noise. In other words, it introduces some light ghosting artifacts in motion, but there's less shimmer on the distance, though much of this is hidden on both platforms anyway by the motion blur. As for the game itself, Just Cause 3 turns a huge landscape of islands and mountains into your own destructive playground. Consoles and PCs share the same core artwork across this world for the most part, with textures on PS4 and Xbox One a match for PC's very high setting. There are some variances here and there as assets load in at different points, but up close the pixel detail on normal maps is identical, as you can see here. Foliage and some environmental details are randomized across all three platforms, meaning some scenes feature more in the way of grass and plants on one platform than the other, but in other scenes the tables are turned. The game doesn't disappoint with its liberal use of alpha effects either. Smoke, fire and particles are impressively rendered at full resolution on PS4, and again matches PC running at max settings. So with textures and effects perceptibly the same, what improvements does PC actually bring? Well, to be frank, the biggest draw boils down to its ability to target higher resolutions and frame rates at 60 FPS and higher.
Good. Now, try again. Must rule out beginner's luck.
Even so, some visual details are boosted, even if you have to look close to find them. Shadow quality, for example, is improved on PC when running at very high settings, as compared to the high setting used on PS4. Here we see a softer and less refined implementation on console by comparison. It's not a huge difference, but a slight gain in quality that sharpens shadow edges, though really console owners aren't missing out on much here. And no matter which platform you're running, draw distances are incredible in Just Cause 3. Up close, the LOD factor setting on PC is a touch higher. You'll be hard pressed to notice the difference in practice though. Fences and windows simply pop in a few seconds later when parachuting down. It's again a minute change that takes very close scrutiny to pick out. Elsewhere, PC and PS4 feature the same quality of water, global illumination, motion blur and bokeh depth of field effects. You'll note PC's motion blur isn't quite as aggressive as on console though, and the reason for this is simple. Essentially, as the game runs at 60 frames per second on PC, the difference in information between consecutive frames isn't as drastic as PS4, which runs at 30 frames per second and under. For a velocity-based motion blur, this makes a big change to the way frames are sampled to produce the effect. The bigger the jump between frames, the heavier the blur. As a result, it's more overbearing on quick panning motions for consoles, while the PC look is subtler. Overall, outside of differing anti-aliasing methods, improved shadows and a slight broadening in LODs, it's much the same game then. We do notice one other visual touch not seen on PS4, a heat haze effect. It's a subtle visual extra that we can't enable or disable in the PC menus. It's fixed in place, adding a nice sense of atmosphere to the scene, where on PS4 it's absent. These are neat extra touches, but in terms of the overall visual return, you're getting most of the same experience on PS4 and Xbox One. The biggest upgrade on PC really is in its ability to outperform console in overall smoothness, scaling frame rates up to 60 frames per second or higher.
Hey, Dima. This wingsuit isn't...
It's sadly not something we can do on either PS4 or Xbox One, which run at sub 30 FPS in firefights with an adaptive VSync in play too. From an initial round of tests, we found running at 1080p 60 frames per second and at maximum settings takes a minimum of a GTX 970. It's a higher end card, but this represents the bigger upgrade from the console experience. Anyway, that's it for now. Let us know what you think in the comments, like and subscribe if you found this comparison useful, and until next time, thanks for watching.